I'm Scott Casey, Captain, Overland Park Fire Department, 25 years. When I was a kid, young kid, 7th grade, and before that, my dad was a chief at a Gardner Rural Fire Department. My mom was a secretary up there. I would go up there during fire meetings on Tuesday night, and I had a buddy that lived across the street, and we'd play flag football and stuff like that during the fire meetings. Well, eventually, we got old enough to join as volunteers at 15. And so at 15, there were several of my buddies and I that were on the Gardner Rural Fire Department. And as junior firefighters, we got to go to the calls and do some basic stuff, and it was awesome. But we were also, and it was a farming community back then. So all the older guys were farmers, and they could drive the trucks, but they weren't really plugged into being a fireman. And us as kids, we were, and so we'd go to fire schools and come back with new stuff. And we ended up hosting all the trainings for the fire department as teenagers. So that really kind of got me into the fire service, seeing my dad. My mother became a firefighter, actually. My brother was on the fire department. And it was something that I always wanted to be as a fireman growing up. When I graduated high school, I wanted to be a fireman, but my dad did not want me to be a fireman, right? He wanted me to have a white-collar job, and so I went away to college, graduated KU. After that, I started swinging a hammer because at the time, all the jobs out there were paying like $6 an hour. So I started doing construction work and on the side because it paid $9 an hour, which was awesome at the time. And my brother called me up one day, and it was probably a couple of years after I had graduated college, and I just had gotten married at that time, or right before I got married, don't remember which. He said, "Hey, Overland Park is hiring." He said, "You need to come out here and apply." Went through the interview, and there was like probably 300 people taking the exam, and I did not get hired on that first round. So I went back to swinging a hammer and doing construction stuff. It was about a year later, and it was a hot day. It was mid-July, 100 degrees, and I'm working on the side of my boss's house. He had a shake house, and I'm sanding the paint off of these shingles, just being miserable. Went to lunch, and I had gotten a call from the fire department, and so I called back, and Dennis Myers said, "Scott, would you like to come to work for Overland Park Fire Department?" It's like, oh yeah. And so from that point on, I was 25, and I got hired on with Overland Park, and I've been here ever since. I remember my first night as a paid fireman. I was at Station 4, and I couldn't sleep. I was just so excited to be there. And I'm standing there looking at all these big big fire trucks and the big fire station, and thinking, I am a professional firefighter. I mean, it was the coolest feeling I'd ever had. It was awesome. It's funny how many things have not changed in the 25 years versus the things that had changed. Organizationally, the fire department was always solid. A good rank and file structure, guys that are always plugged in, engaged, and want to be good at their job. Great training, great equipment. It was like that from day one here at Overland Park. I remember like our first thermal imaging camera. The battery pack of it was like about the size of a coffee can, and then you also had a great big camera that you held. It was giant. It was an old Navy unit. Well, now we still use thermal imaging cameras, but they're tiny. They're little bitty things you can clip onto your shirt and go on in, and so that stuff has changed a little bit, but not really a new concept or a new thing. Maybe we've adjusted tactics a little bit, and it's kind of come full circle, and when I grew up out in the rural setting, we had fewer people. So you'd slow it down from the outside, and then you'd go in and fight the fire, and you'd be you and the same 4 guys fighting an entire house fire that we have 5 or 6 fire trucks on now. And then when you were into the fire service when I started, everything was very aggressive. You know, you straight on in, you get to the seat of the fire, and you know, you went in there right away. Well, now we're back all the way full circle, you know, where we slow it down from the outside, we make sure the smoke's clear, then we go in and just put the rest of the fire out. So it's kind of funny to see things go full circle. When I was first starting out in the rural fire department, we got our first air pack. You know, that was a big deal. It's like, oh, you got an air pack, you know. But it was kept in a case, in a compartment, in the truck. And it's like, if it gets really bad, you put your air pack on. Other than that, you just go in and fight fire. Well, now you wouldn't even consider that. You know, it's like, it's in the jump seat of every truck. It's, you know, it's part of your standard stuff before you do anything, you know, so. But, oh, I wish I could say there's been huge changes, but that's kind of one of the nice things about the fire service is stability, and you can get really good at your craft because you have a lot of time to develop into those different roles. Overland Park was, you know, in the leadership aspect, you know, we were teaching not only within our county, but within the metro area, regionally, and also on a national level. You know, we had the Mike Casey's, the Hank DuPonts, you know, those people were known on a national level, and Overland Park, you know, vicariously through them was known on the national level. So anytime you entered in a conversation somewhere, what was Overland Park doing, and you know, how's Overland Park doing this? I mean, that was huge to be a part of that. Action shot, walk away. I'm employee number 146. One of the firefighters that I worked with starting was '02. He was 02 on backless. And now we're into the 400s, you know? So there's a lot of movement in this department. There's a lot of outside influences coming in, and culturally that shapes your department. You know, you get ideas and experiences at different levels and different specialties all coming together to make this one organization succeed, and that's really beneficial. Most of the people in the fire service, they're type A personalities. You know, they're the guys that are the doers, and when you get a whole bunch of type A personalities and doers in the room, you think that would be awesome. You know, it's not awesome all the time because everybody's capable of making a good decision. And somehow you got to get everybody on the same page. You know, you got to pick that one decision for the group, and you got to pick that one attitude for the shift. And you know, so there's a lot of good things about that, but there's also a lot of challenges that come along with that as well. If you take pride in your job because you're going to be here a long time, take pride in the fact that you made it. Understand the importance that, hey, I'm going to be here. I could be here as long as I want to be here. You know, you're the backwards guy. You know, so you take pride in that because you're the guy or the gal that gets to go in there and make a difference immediately, whether it's helping someone on a medical deal, putting the fire out, pulling someone out of a bad situation. That is your job. Then when you get to be a driver, that is your baby. You are getting everybody there safely. You are making sure that thing operates smoothly because you've paid attention to it. You've taken pride in being the driver. When you get to be that acting officer, that's an important task. You don't just get to be one because you've been here long enough. You have a lot of other qualities that go into leadership. Respect that and plug in. And when you're an officer, don't think that I've arrived. Now it's the, okay, how to be a good officer and develop other people and look towards the future. And so that taking pride in your job is pretty big at every level, taking pride in your job. If you're good at your job, if I practice operating the tools and I practice different techniques, and when that time comes where I have to put that stuff in action, I'm comfortable, I'm ready to go. You know, I'm looking forward to getting ready to use those skills that I've trained on, or use those tools, you know, in ways that they're meant to be used, and capitalize on what they can do, because I'm prepared for it. And if you've got that feeling of you're prepared and you're good at your job, you're gonna have fun. You know, I've been with Overland Park for 25 years, and so you know, I'm able to get off the ride safely. You know, I've got a pension, I've got some stuff to look forward to. I've had an opportunity that came up at District 1 Fire as the operations chief, which operations has always been near and dear to my heart. Everything that I had fun with and that time to, you know, really learn and develop and do something with, now I get to start it all over with another group of guys and bring them, you know, some of these experiences that I've had with Overland Park. You know, that's an exciting opportunity for me. And it's all because of what the experience I've had with Overland Park, the education I've had with Overland Park, the opportunities I've been given with Overland Park. I get to go into a different role where I get a chance to be on, you know, to steer the boat a little bit over there. I'm gonna miss being on a fire truck going down in the middle of a busy street in the middle of a big town. That's cool. You know, I'm gonna miss that kind of stuff. I mean, mostly though, it's the people. You know, it's the, like I said, you don't have a relationship with people for 25 years and not miss them, or you've missed something in your life. You know, so that's the biggest thing for me. I had just gotten married when I got in the fire department here, right? It was a year after I got here. I had my first child, then my second child. Went through life well, then I got a divorce, and then went through a low period there. You know, I had some internal growth to do, you know, just maturity stuff, and, you know, as a leader and stuff like that. So there was high points and then low points, and then I got remarried, and, you know, so, and you always hear about, you know, you need a rock, you know, it's your husband or your wife or your house or something. You know, honestly, the one thing that's been consistent in my life is Overland Park Fire Department. You know, those high highs, the low lows, the everything in between, this has been the consistent. And those people have been there with me. You know, they've celebrated with me, they've suffered with me, they've lifted me up, and different things in your life change, but this, you know, that's the fire service. It's very consistent, and, you know, my rock, I'm gonna miss my rock. There's a million funny stories out there, and I can't recall them all at one time. And oh yeah, I did wreck a fire truck one time. I mean, I just completely smashed that compartment. I mean, it was down to nothing. It turned like a freight train. You know, there's just no turning radius on this thing. There are a lot of funny things that happen in the fire service. So we were gonna do a contamination thing, cross-contamination drill. And we thought, well, we'll put it in a pop bottle, we'll make a dry ice bomb out of it, and blow it up, and it'll go everywhere, you know, and it'll be perfect. What could happen? Set the pop bottle up there with the dry ice in there, put the cap on, and we leave the other way. When we go the other way, Dennis Myers, Brian Diener, Jim Deneen, and someone else is in there. They were all working on the antique fire truck, and we're like, this thing's gonna blow up, and it's in this other room. And so I quickly told Diener what we were doing. He said, no, that's funny. Really? About that time, this thing just blew up, and it was, oh my God, loud. Yeah, that was a big surprise. I really, am I gonna have to get you in trouble? He was dead serious, like, I don't think so, Chief.